Your Excellency, Mohammed Ould Abdulaziz, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and the Chairperson of the African Union, Your Excellency, Teodora Obianga Nguema Mbasongo, President of Equatorial Guinea, and our gracious host, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, members of the African Union, Excellencies, former Heads of State and Government, Your Excellency, Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellency, Mariana Rajoy, Prime Minister of Spain, Your Excellency, Salvador Valdez Meza, Vice President of the Republic of Cuba, Excellencies, members of the Executive Council and other ministers, Deputy Chair Erasmus Mwenja and other AU commissioners, Your Excellencies, heads of AU organs and other international agencies, Excellencies, leaders of regional executive committees, Excellencies, members of the PRC, Excellencies, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished invited guests, Your Excellencies, would like to express a warm welcome to the 23rd Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Government, and a heartfelt thank you to our host, the President, Government, and people of Equatorial Guinea for the warm hospitality and for the excellent conference facilities at our disposal. Your Excellencies, since our last summit, we had elections in Egypt, Guinea-Bissau, Malawi, Mauritania, and South Africa. And we therefore take this opportunity to congratulate our AU Chairperson, President Mahmoud Abdulaziz, President of Islamic Republic of Mauritania, President Jacob Zuma, the President of the Republic of South Africa for their re-election. We also want to congratulate and welcome the President of Egypt and Guinea-Bissau and welcome them back to the AU family. We also want to congratulate the President, Arthur Peter Mutharika of Malawi. Excellencies, we are near the end of the development of our vision and aspirations for the next 50 years, Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. We have decided to develop a short, popular version of the document that captures the aspirations that our people voiced during the consultations, and of course, there'll be the longer technical document. We will table this for discussions at this summit, but we'd like to beg your indulgence to allow us to popularize it and solicit further input so that we present the Agenda 2063, Africa we want, for adoption at the next summit, including the first-year plan. Excellencies, we are already in year one of our 50-year journey, and we are shifting gear towards working on practical programs in all our Agenda 2063 priority areas, the implementation issues that must take our continental agenda to a higher level and make the change we want to see. Excellencies, when the Union over a decade ago adopted the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, CAADP, it was with a view to eradicate hunger and rural poverty, to grow dynamic agricultural markets within and between African countries and regions, to become a strategic player in agricultural science and technology, and to become once more a net exporter of agriculture and food products. To achieve this, we must set ourselves the target of increasing investments in agriculture and to increase productivity. Excellencies, a lot of countries have increased their investment in agriculture, and in fact, they can already see the improvements, not only in productivity, but also in tackling hunger and malnutrition. But as we therefore debate our theme for 2014, agriculture and food security, we do so with a range of policies, programs, and initiatives in place at national, regional, and continental levels towards meeting CAADP targets. But we do need to do more and to do it faster. This includes increased public and private investments and the implementation of irrigation projects so that our farmers are not always at the mercy of whether it rains or not. It means targets to give women who toil the fields access to land, capital, and other agricultural inputs so that they can move from farm workers towards food producers. It means mobilizing investments, private and public, into facilities that will stimulate agricultural markets, including energy, storage facilities, transport, and lifting of restrictions on the movement of people and goods on the continent. I have been told, and I've seen it myself, that in many of our countries, young people are not interested in agriculture and taking careers in agriculture. But how can this be so in a continent of young people? It is, however, a reflection that our agriculture in the main is still quite traditional and not modern. A practical priority, therefore, is to modernize and mechanize, to use science and technology, and once and for all, I want to quote what the women's meeting that took place last week here in Malabo said. They would like once and for all to banish the hand hoe to the museum, instead of it being the symbol of women farming in Africa. In our recent consultations with the ministers of gender and women's organization, this message was strongly articulated. And I think it is only when we do that that we will be able to attract young people into agriculture. We must make agriculture and agro-processing attractive to the younger generation because our green revolution needs their innovation and energy. Africa today does not train enough bioscientists, agronomists, engineers, and even mechanics to repair the implements. And so we need to do more in that human resource development. And of course, other critical skills required for the modernization of agriculture. We must, in earnest, address the skills revolution. Amongst the country's contributions we received on Agenda 2063 was a very interesting proposal. I think it came from Nigeria, and it was also discussed at the Nigerian centenary, that we must get our banks to lend at least 30% of their agricultural lending to women. We think this is a progressive goal. We must support this and engage with our financial institutions across the continent to achieve it. Excellencies, modernizing and the use of science and technology will not only help to address productivity, but also build resilience against climate change. The threat of desertification, the drying up of our lakes, such as the Great Lake Chad, and other extreme weather conditions, particularly affecting our island states, cannot be left to chance. We have to put in place the mechanism of the African risk capacity to provide a collective risk buffer to our agricultural sector, but we need to do more in all these areas of threats. Agriculture is critical in our industrialization efforts as well. Agro-processing of our agricultural products are not only critical for food security, but also to increase earnings, job creation, and our broader goal of industrialization. Finally, for agriculture and our environment to flourish, we need conditions of peace and stability, and for our people not to be under threat from armed gangs, terrorists, and human and arms traffickers. We must therefore urge all parties and stakeholders to ensure that the ceasefire holds in South Sudan, that we stop the violence in Central African Republic, and that along with that, we stop sexual violence in all conflicts. We must create conditions for our people to return home without fear, to plow their fields, and to rebuild their lives. Excellencies, the continued threats of terrorism faced by Nigeria and in countries of the Sahel generally, and now in East Africa, Somalia, are a threat to all of us because it creates an atmosphere of fear, it destabilizes, and it untold misery and suffering to all our people, especially women and children. Therefore, Excellencies, the target that you set for yourselves in the solemn declaration of silencing the guns in every corner of Africa by 2020 must remain a top priority. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the experts on the panel debate this afternoon and our discussions from the summit will no doubt provide us with ideas on how to take these issues forward. I wish this 23rd ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government with a theme on agriculture and food security, fruitful deliberations. I thank you.